Na Mami Musa, 2024 elections, and Yaman Kuya man the new patriotic party Mamulusi, Omanpenin Nado Efrisu, Emma, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and Abefo Abenwe ya Ubumain. And now, or the 120 days, social contract on the Ghana for Koye, and Kuntabu, Eddie Ebaye, or can some be brave, but Maminti general comments about it. And some specific do one ma, you didn't come out Eddie Afang.
Okay, President Mama, 120 days.
120 days,
to be very fair and even to be fair to President Mahama, we would say bro 120 days is quite short a time.
Yeah.
We'll be making a fair and honest assessment of every leader. Mandate demand only 4 years.
Yeah.
And ordinarily, when you want to have a holistic measurement of what is done, usually, to be fair, in Fina no ucha and Abu Sampa, the modern book was run as a day and Cosro. Na, say, among your fire to Diana higher. Sometimes we make promises within 100 days, within 120 days, and I, of course, Muna Sebu, Musumu and Penify, you've always been monitoring. Producers can also correct me. But me sure say any president be about within 120 days and no more kind of what my day.
Debbie.
Now so to dana you say Sebia bro akora obatokano uzo na mano busa koba ye day ebo na penifo so edwa so be so ye day ifra nopa.
Yeah.
And the ubetimi so asema Sebia penifo say asema dance ni wutimi twa bi so ye day e dance. O hwe how one mo say ahase na bo hu say baby omode amamone na be koyi ana senya day enkoyi. 120 days, like I stated, quite a short time to be able to fairly assess anybody. But at least, ki expect 1 or 2 normal mienu and sebia, ki hunu se, kasanse se ene kwa could be a bit magazine by one am papa and answer one am no kwa one. But even before that, let me state on what feed to say, if you look at the ordinary Ghanaian or the average Ghanaian, minyini be brave. And so kakra men who immediately manyo follow national issues. It appears the average Ghanaian holds the MPP to a higher standard than the NDC.
How
now,
is this justified? By that justified way, yes.
The India makers are say President Mahama, a lot of expectations behind the news. So it's not very wild. The reason is Ghanaians really did not say I caught trouble Mahama to come and cause a lot of change. It has more to do with a hebia MPP mfie watche said you see peja more GDA nya wo mumu ene no ma ba ko mi sebia torch man na set chia na akwa in the absence of good, then we can even go for bad. After all, we did not even get best.
Okay.
So when it comes to President Mahama, expectation can say bia ending so. It has more to do with the MPP losing the election than President Mahama winning. And how Galamsey fight, the way we held Akufo-Addo to a higher account and standard. Is it the same thing with President Mahama? Clearly no. But of course, I understand people may say it's still early days yet. But early days, yes, and they pushy President Akufo-Addo to compel him to even make a statement and say he put his presidency on the line.
Yeah.
Okay. But same is not replicated when it comes to President Mahama.
Okay.
So, we can take it even sector by sector. Or the even for instance, Galamsey, for instance.
Yeah.
Galamsey, one of the menace who campaign, who did they can and this President Mama, okay, within a space of 120 days, or the executive instrument, I'm a lawyer.
Yeah.
Executive instrument, there, Sebia Bru, here, even parliamentary process or parliamentary approval for executive instrument.
Okay.
Especially when you want to bring, for instance, a state of emergency, it's an executive instrument. You don't need even parliamentary approval. You don't need 2 weeks to do it. Say, are they up a panel or what's up? So, yeah, just by you have the powers. You can declare that state of emergency now, and indeed, Anka, state of emergency, if you believe in it, by now would have at least have that state of emergency now can also hear this. So clearly, on that ground, so you can see, say, enya how a Galamsey fight and assassin, obetimi ayede ayo ho bibi. Ufri Galamsey mamenko baby to say employment. A dear promise na wademaye. also about create 24-hour economy. Interestingly, if you go through the budget or review of parliament, let's state budget promises will make it so we divide this every year, roughly he should be doing around 63 to 69 promises. But promises are or boss, so initiative or boss in this current budget is less than 23. But let's even be fair to him, 23. One, my emphasis is employment. Unemployment, they are not also be created a 24-hour economy. People are going to run shifts. We told them say 24-hour economy, and that idea you artificially create or engineer. A idea you say is driven by demand. Say why? Na sebi ebru edura na dwa kofo obadwuma ho bia bibi wa ha we yesi bi station bi wa ha bus terminal wa ha enye na mo bia beton wa mo enye na obi pharmacy obi bi mobile money. It's not artificially created. You can was it entesa
but can't you untimi induce no or ankasa we induce manema say you create an enabling environment for that artificiality no ebeba. Why induce artificiality naba?
When you talk about inducement, who induce or combat, maybe we may give a practical example. You see, the normal workers would induce for instance, the creation of the 24-hour economy. For instance, electricity, it be a security. Those are basic things that every government does. Now security can provide the security. Electricity one and provide it. These are basic things. You go to say so the security acquire the hospital, acquire the facility we acquire, and those are inducing anything in the area to maybe to cause the initiative of 24-hour economy to come into being. People may disagree with you.
Okay.
They will see it as a very maybe mediocre approach and how they address it. When you talk about 24-hour economy, but I mean that is not even the trust of my argument. My principle is that was one of his trump card into coming into office. But as at now, on Kahwasime, there has not been any legal or policy framework on the 24-hour economy. What he did was quickly to make a shift, and unfortunately, not only a shift, but the U-turner, the first love letter or the man Ghana for Nkora, no more cried legitimately Lomonia Jumano was dismissal. Okay. That dismissal letters not the man Ghana for Nkora. And if you take it sector by sector, in the area of jobs, in the area of very say Doomso grad, I mean, it's also escalated. In the area of Galamsey, Oba education. Maybe more Ministry of Education. I was the former spokesperson there. And then a guy also about friend say double track obey every ho. I said doing Ketiaka say in a space of said you get 80 days. What happened to it? Joyce Bauer no more around 120 days. And he himself cast so the first year. But now what did the Aaron Adusikai, Minister for Education? Also on 2027. So and Baku promising class of Momo and Krao first year for your cast of which your fees are say, and also as they've gone also silent on it. You can take it sector by sector, promise by promise. Policy be on more or more once and beyond. Or your fan bako. You can clearly see say, even though we admit in principle say it is too early, no. In terms of the reality check and the performance of the ground, so no, one more any normal be bra ordinarily no. The confidence people repose in them because when we in election with about 1.7 million votes. Of course, I disagree as a Ghana for the would be brave no more tomorrow. It has more to do with MPP and says MP we say na one more to abaya day but with 1.7 million and the whole reset agenda, the whole reset conversation, the whole reset today on no year there. Ordinarily you would have expected say you baby also mudru no munru hode nanso baby e week so matra.
All right. See baby also nkomo mudru no munyenru ye.
Yes, baby.
But baby omo we sisi ane de also nkomo akọ atra hono. With the 26 a year we now or stiti no. What he said no and say and they osha ministers of specific date within 14-day period na say a period be obey the ministers say we Obeka a year code of conduct as
let me address those two quickly. Is the logic that a president and a man you ministers that it should be counted as an achievement? Nanga one a mayor
so number of days, the number of days notice, so the period notice
move and we should move from there. Say president made a promise say
that is why he said
or the 14 days we are appointing the cabinet. If that is a logical, let's go into that promise. Okay, tell us about 30% of those ministers as cabinet ministers being females. Why? Onye for 30%. It's about 11-12%.
Yeah.
And I mean, these are I don't want to call these achievements. These are normal as a president or as a leader, and you need it as part of your administrative setup. Who appointing ministers? I don't know your so I appointing minister within 14 days. Maza, yo, 21st century.
Yeah.
Could do other countries? People are talking about robotics, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, 21st century, 3D imaging, how our industrialization, job creation, quite almost so the normal what we are say, education, everything. One more bit media effective change. Mebwa, I'm on mine day. We are talking about how problems, big problems, are being menaced like Galamsey. Electricity in 21st century or my 21st century. Oh, that's so. Hey, and another more station back, business station back. Yet, one year, Dumkania. Just not even the super advanced country, but the average middle income status. One Kenya is a history. So people have to go and read about it. Now, what's the now? So, also, what kind of appointments of the cabinet?
Friends saying code of conduct for an appointees.
I'm not a president of Jumaho.
Social contract for achievements. So those are the some of the things he brought.
It boils down to what I earlier said. That if you look at the average Ghanaian, when it comes to the NDC and especially Mr. Mahama, it's like Kwarana near Kofu, now a social agriculture, they feel be fallow period. Assassin who you saw assassin, assassino, I feel say, nutrients in Wadini in Atria. It will to me Jato, being fear and infernum, assassin no so cry. A chileno, mus assassina, sa nutrients and Wadini Adano, Nasa Bassas, no Sako, the Aquadoso, a full banchano, Bancha, Canica, Watch and I Rodono, who's a back as I say. That is the state that we are now. Ghanaians didn't entrust the country Ghana in President Mahama to do anything exceptional. It has more to do with a no managing people, particularly young people, people are not happy with a lot of things. I'm sure we'll delve into those discussions. And abano busy young koto. I mean, within a space of 8 years, you can't blame anybody. The beauty of leadership is that normal way you take ultimate responsibility. Now you pay and watch out, then we move on. But people were not happy. People didn't go and vote. So Mahama or President Mahama only happens to be more or less the unfortunate beneficiary of that. Now, other than that, why will anybody say may appoint cabinet ministers in 14 days? May far a 30%. Why there is an affirmative action law?
Yeah.
Now we can as I say, boy, and Managas guys of Fabrosa. I don't want to me via more and some. I was the last also bad.
Or your friends a code of conduct. Or the brand appointees say and they or more any swa.
There is no greater code of conduct than even the Constitution of Ghana. It's very clear. Well, and there is even no greater code of conduct than our conscience and demonstration of leadership. Those are things that we write. But if you don't get a true leader or be level to the things that has been written, when the center cannot hold, things definitely fall apart. And in Ghana. Good, and I've always maintained that when it comes to laws and those things, generally our performance on those laws has been very low and poor. Okay, cause sanitation, code of conduct, new rules, new regulations, be in as a groomer. What the care motor tuma averagely se car and do it to ubenya mummy and sign nipa be norma and show the rubber one form. Our performance on it is very low. So we've call baby to say be a road safety. Road safety say road traffic regulations near there. Or my tima, all you need to defy all traffic regulations is just to buy a Land Cruiser. What are you talking about? Say rules and conduct and those things. I think we've passed there. What we need is implementation. What we need is leadership, and what we need is discipline. Say Benya Penibi or Nobeka just say, we are tired of all those rules. We are but common sense approach. Hey, who is obey? I buy a betrayal. Can also obey my 8. I say I said Trogu once and obey my 8. As upon 5, I said trans and who says upon 5. And I don't want to call this achievement. Yes, for purpose of holistic harmonization of what he wants to do, or buffer for, say a code of conduct. Now one guys was saying in court, the appointees in could declare one more asset. Say they declare. Actually, also by 7th of this month, well, when declare be on track. On for less, right? Near me, home declare no more because as at now, me sure say. Even 10% of his appointees have declared their asset. But yes, so I mean, some of these things, when you have the goodwill you take advantage of them as a politician for the optics. And President Mama had a very wild goodwill when he was voted into power.
Yeah.
Oh, and untina one memua ya omushe omukutu pamo omukọ boys mines. Say I mean the unfortunate incident to ku bi memua office ani abepamo ni esisi cars ni ade no, people didn't care about it. Even as now he's still enjoying the goodwill.
Yeah.
It's the more reason why Dumso Ekoso, Galamse Ekoso, ye inquired legitimately omonya juma, nobody is still talking about it. But you see, the beauty of this game is that time bound, it's seasonal. Unfortunately, my disappointment is that people who criticize President Akufo-Addo for all these number of things that he do President Mama on the Omayedi. My view is that principles shouldn't be seasonal.
Yeah.
If you stand for something today, tomorrow you should stand for it. The following day you should stand for the same thing. Unfortunately, like I earlier indicated, and it supports the argument that I'm making, that when it comes to President Mahama and the NDC, the average Ghanaian do not hold them to a very higher standard than the MPP. Hey, you know my cause see I being ready. Nkora on Ministry of Education, one more GS in your financial clearance in May. Now, recruitment is not an event; it's a process. You have interview, you have on more documents, you have review, you have virtual and at the end of the day, you see even the appointment of letter, appointment letters required the more so is even a process. You do letter crowd some of them averagely 90% of them be juma 6 months until almost staff ID ayede aba. Na staff ID no so ne de ma controller na controller de atwa moka. Oka chesa kra say kra ono akọ dan aye juma agebosia. Ebi kro no we school atrafia afi no wanya juma. And let me state on your platform, there are statistics my camp Professor Kakari no statistics near they say averagely when a half of a batch of national service one more complete school, it takes a minimum of 10 years for that half of that national service batch to get employment. The other half will still be searching. That is the state that we are in. Tinkrade nyagidi wo mu, wo say research agenda, wo say 24-hour economy. And let me tell you, when there is a vacuum and in the absence of a messenger, even the bad message will survive.
Okay.
Nti okay, Brian PP bad power. Yes, oh free SHS almost won't free SHS na to be a day. It's they will go and vote for you. I remember when I used to go for communication meetings, I let your director and go for almost 24-hour economy. We know that it's not possible. But if you don't give the electorates also
something to hold on,
they will go and believe it.
Okay.
People then go and vote for you. You come into power. Grass will the 24-hour economy, but they are going to run 3 shifts. And the first love letter that you give to them is about you crying. Okay, so you form MPP mu na you form after December 7. Assuming without admitting, say for more MPP, so what? Are they not Ghanaians?
Anyway, let's come to the New Patriotic Party. Na yenshe honum ensem. After the defeats, Gangantuan defeat, as people put it, most set up a committee, the Michael Kwe report. Most of them mabonte, but some of them, snipers of them, are out. Who say Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia during the friends a thank you tour. Akakabi and who ensem yenshe honum na yenshe. What actually was the problem?
Sabi you say mpanifo say ontuma agufin no enzina bonten nti nkomo we no eduru ho a akoye se sabi ebru akoye se bese pandiku na yede ahaba mpanifo say tase ne banyansa fom the normal sabi ebru course ye the elections no ensise mu no any party one mo how esi kura party no okay, Professor Queen, she says, one day, one encohe. And of course, one more day or the outcome about. And now, ye koto in thank you to you, send that home, na honorable Ken. And statement, General Secretary making categorical and as will be any day in Nibi. There is only one copy of all party, Nankasa day. And sometimes it becomes quite surprising and also intriguing. Say bia nipa bi so we na course we na course we na course we na course
2 pages na
be 2 pages na I mean sometimes I remember when the Union Mendes was started omko 2 pages you know, my first comment with them is ya ommo enfa pictures in day enka ho nyina entimi ne day enhu bi fortunately and unfortunately high profile members of our party has also mentioned say normal bi omo susu say day ewomu Hantiama ho asem kana yede akoyeden. But me no nyina say you don't need even a rocket scientist to tell you normal ma se be bro party no ye call sa ho hia emu a e bia ye call ye no we are people of culture, we are human beings, yet we know ourselves. Yet hey se be bro, even our body language can tell a lot about what we want to communicate. Nti uni nipa asetremu no normal ba kum you know koso na nya wa unkasa wo ye de so I mean there are not issues I want to rehash or restate, but what I know is say Professor Okwe, the expectation is that he's done a good job on it. My surprise kakra recently by a call, thank you to Vice President Kaze. Some factors are not part because, for instance, let's open up. Maybe this is a religion. Is that not the case? Say yes, it be a religion did not affect the voting pattern as outcome of the elections I have here. Let's just do a common sense analysis. If you want to find the truth in everything, the first thing that you do, there are 3 key variable tests that you do in finding the truth. One of them you call logical consistency. As a can, what is the logic in it? 2, you check what you call the experiential relevance. So, but I mean, for now, let me even base on the logical consistency so that we don't take much time. Yetihei, or my mo yetihei. Chances are that yetihei nyina ye pie aba yadwuma so na ye better studio ha anopo bi abompae is about 99%.
Okay.
Yeah, my mo. That's why I say we are people of culture, we are people of religion. Say VIP bus mako oha etua. Me na maka jaw say emu 99 ebe bompae ansa no hoye dey omotu bus no. Yeah, party ayeyoyi. Na your candidate selection crown. Why is it that ye Christian? You say we have to also balance it with the Muslim, a Muslim candidate. So all aspects of our lives is made up of, I mean, religious considerations. The aspects of our lives is made up of religious considerations because we are a people of religion. Yeah, so those things doesn't care when don't go for America. My mom was how the Harry was Mami or call president. Only one of the Owusu against Niba.
Okay.
This is America of all people. Why? Because they are people of culture. They believe in family values. They believe in family system. Into Niba to them no is a big deal there. Into Timin Kanje say, Maya, averagely the people are so extremely religious. Maya, Yabatua ba Unya Obiti Sebia Papa Janasari, who made a bold declaration to his church members and other people in a WhatsApp text and a voice note say, "Ba ya or no say Yanto Obama, Crawford, and now we should vote for a particular set or that's Kamala Harris." Yeah, Utimin can say such a people are not sensitive to religious considerations. No, if indeed, your folk report on it. Go through who say religion did not play a role, then I will see the work say was very inefficient work.
See, definitely religion played
because
a key role.
Yes, because we are people of religion. That's why I give you the basic examples that we do. Where the Empire was here, to even to ensure harmony and balance at public events. Yama Christian Empire, we are Yama Cremonisa, a bonnet, yeah, national events, a crowd, a boha, Yama. Traditionalists. What are we talking about? That in terms of all our life aspects, religion plays a role. But when it comes to election and in particular reference 2024 election, religion did not play a role. As they want to be that. So me, I don't want to even go so far into it. Religion play a role. Why did MPP in the first place even religion and to even extent BMU, for instance, even tribalism and ethnicity? If it doesn't play a role, why would MPP even in the first place he say, oh, you have another candidate just to deflect the tag say MPP is an account party? What are you talking about? What am I saying? In the first place, the party even decides to say, "Kofa tagi across account party, other tribes are there." So you should even deflect that tag by even presenting a northern and a Muslim candidate. And you can't say religion play a role. It defiles even the very principles that you stood for, upon which you brought the candidate go there a call a election. So I'm of the strong belief that religion played a role. And the statistics are the data are there for all of us to go and reference. How many candidates do we file in this region? You see, let me before even I go there. Religion is something ordinarily because we have learned to live with each other. No? So we say metro abetia because or ye Kremonian or ye Christian or ye Buddhist. I'm likely to say no. They are not things that we express, but we manifest by our conduct. We manifest by our conduct. Me, I had the opportunity to go to UDS. What I'm here, my first degree. UDS, unfortunately, unfortunately, say offer Muslims do also say, maybe I know. Maybe a Muslims bit my door so be a northern region. Okwa west, Christians do also say northern Muslims. Okwa east, Christians does even Savannah. Probably even all the 5 northern regions apart from northern region. Be a Muslims may dominate. You know. Now, old school no common SRC elections, basic SRC elections keke no. So Pentecost for and to Emma even Christian onye Pentecostal denomination. Elections are no. The only time on between Christian on Pentecostal denomination ye time a Pentecost in India day sorry ni bi any side election share illegal have make that no more election mo ye make that lost because he's just a Muslim candidate. Why? Because people are of the dangerous belief say or also my minority group in day any these are a normal a buo kwanso no. Because of our harmonious living that we want to live as a people, no, we pretend not to talk about it. But there are things that we cannot run away from it.
So, we barring anything, you competence, you a matter religious card, no, the ethnic card, no, play more than the competence of the person.
You see, where ethnicity and religion becomes dangerous in our political dispensation is when it's weaponized. But at the end of the day, there is nothing wrong with it. When I feel, say, me a Christian, me a young Christian, there's nothing wrong with it.
Okay.
Yeah, let's face the reality. Ordinarily, yeah, no more motete, me, say me kwaria. I am more comfortable to the adage to align. Say, oh yes, you couldn't better they do na my be ebika, and that's that. Say we want to pretend we don't want to talk about it. In fact, the basic life decisions that we make, our remono. I know there are cross marriages and those things to promote harmonious living and those things. But how many people ordinarily you see a warrior, you cross tribes? These are realities that we cannot run away from. So those things are there. You see, at some point it may be advantage to Obi, it may also be disadvantage to Obi. You cannot tell me, say, for instance, I mean, let's look at Ibia Oko Nofa, Sa Boko ne Mampusin Tokwe, which even the vice president himself has stated, say, NDC uses it as a tool against us. You don't talk about more fair and trono. On one part, how do you admit to say NDC uses as a tool against your candidature, and on another part, say tribalism did not play a role? Logical consistency.
Yeah.
On one part, you admit say NDC took advantage of it. Why? Because you are a Mampusi person, right? You are in terms of the numbers, you are in a minority tribe, right? But in terms of the Kusasi should number around 1.2 million in the whole country. And one more year, very hard workers and settlers. See, Kuyayoni are into Western North, they are about 25%. Bono half on they are about 20-25%. On those are some conflicts in between one tribe and which obviously Dr. Bamiana Kosoe or Nim Hoshe, he just happened to be a victim of circumstance. Certainly. So she and this year, they don't care about anything. They will exploit that and use that against you. And you admit. Now, no, thank you, Tono. He makes those comments, say, and this is for Chantro, or Mocaso, or a sponsor, or move with a 2 near day, and a buyer class say, and this is for Crabba, sent to Kanoko, day, only Moshe. So it was weaponized. And if I don't see that, for instance, in the Okwe report, I'll be surprised that that is not a very effective work.
Okay.
But of course, if in the interest of maybe information garden, confidentiality, proper information management, yes, Sansem, we don't have to discuss it. That I perfectly agree.
All right.
But when say you thank you to maybe one person as a way of maybe exonerating himself or can once say, oh, hey, media who say religion and can makan okwe report. Religion can makai ebia a very say okwe report, tribe on count. I'll be very surprised. Because for me, on the face value, Ubusam say a normal These are the things normal higher. These are the things that ordinary every person should know. In him say internal conflicts these are objective realities. It affected us. We don't have to list the details. When it say internal conflicts, issues bordering with prime minister, even of course they even make allusions to religion on one side. I don't say in tribalism, but also because ma will lose let's say they will say. Oh, we have to admit all these things and take responsibility as leaders. Then go and say, oh, Sebio, you can't thank you to her. You come, you express appreciation for what has been done. Sebio, cool you, uncle you, what does it? So thank you to a second Thessalonian that also saying all things, let us give one thanks to God. Add that also. Because we are people of religion, we are people of culture, so we have to appreciate those things. When you go for a thank you to, what do? The key variables are obedase. Now, if bibi ko anko ya wapacho, you take responsibility for it as a leader. Say the action na what na day esiso yenfancho and you move on. Right. But oko maybe a discussion of the Okoye report is an opportunity to discuss the Okoye report. Religion did not affect, tribalism did not affect, internal conflict within our party. One example affect, and doesn't only affect the MPP. Internal conflict, NDC, they have a lot of breakaways. Yet Chematin Kwan every party. One more better somewhere in film. Papa Gusitano. Found an ankasa Mrs. Kunedu. One tenedy. So these are realities that we all know. Internal conflict by affect religion by affect ethnicity by affect the economy is one thing that we also cannot run away from. Right. It also affected. But all these things, some of them are systemic. Some of them are amenable to changes. Some of them may also be difficult to change. But bottom line is that as a people, no, there is only one thing a bit someone to above all this thing. That is when we come together in unity. Okay? Penifocus a priority back where they but a bomu de emu. Whether it's religion, whether it's tribalism, whether it's economy, whether it's whatever no, you need to who my day.
So unity no will you be able to achieve, because and they more preach unity but emu musa and ne obeti na obi gina ha na otutu bi mane ken chena na ken nankasa so afa ayi na can you achieve that unity now more going forward in the 2028 elections?
First of all, I want to address it from me favorite chanaba. Actually, say obi to be man ken so I there. With what for this? I want to be clear.
Or reply.
Yes. You see, at every point I've always argued that context is very important. And even when you are dissecting or decoding every information and you don't situate it in its rightful or proper context, you will be mixing the substance of and you will probably maybe discussing the pretext. I had the opportunity to be part of the thank you talk.
Yeah.
I'm sure let's confront it. And I had the opportunity to be part of the thank you talk. Now, you could do a half. Say on the region, you could do a half. Now, Abronya J. Mike saw a chairman to give him opportunity. And said yes, who Kasa Bibre and comments that ordinarily I'm not sure say you would even want to say same to even your worst enemy. Now, Sebio, like I indicated, we are people of culture and we are people of values. You cannot separate us from our culture and our values. The natural expectation was that I expected say Kebi and Pennyfolk will be at one, come back calling it to order or they rebuke him. But well, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. One movie na whether coincidentally or it was planned. Sanka me di matter will be who say enya me dem will phone. Then say Mike Beshe honorable Ken Sem so onye day. Onkasa. I mean, yes, the situation itself was not managed well. What people saw was say so honorable Ken Akoka say mo ehia for kra. I'll come to that. But for me, what honorable Ken did is something that I support. I support in the extent say we are people of culture, we are people of values. And he needed to see Abronya as his young brother and at least show some level of discipline, show discipline to him. Not with a bad motive. So on I becoming confrontational. But no, I saw money who said, Minu Yakuma, party ne boy de, where party Sebio Penifo de ete. Na party na na bafa kotuna na where party the secretary almost started UP na Sebio bro. Sasante hini echame baby secretary free. This is a free fee. The party ni ya himfie party ni party boy de free ho ewo ho. Na mpenifo mu kasase ya he needed to at least reprimand him in that measure.
Now,
Where-
to me, for any other way, and to me address issue because say yeah na ebi a one rebate a possibly ebi anka a man for be who kwanya on be fast we will look at him in a certain way but obe rebate you know ama bro ya sa ba bontia be kan sam fufuro kra e dey fa no.
Well, I think the bigger problem is also how we have designed ourselves to look at things. Omaya say be abri wo dwa to ahere. Ah obi koya de envelope ne buamu ade ne snap to so kopa ache ode. We should know also ourselves that our culture has also been managed in a way a embo aye nyina. We've built a culture obi ya bone kra ntimi hwe na nem nya de enka. Enti say obi wa hugudru no timi catch a bold and fearless so catch say me nwakumade a we ye wanya ade a. Instead of saying ke be hunu say ade papa no. Unfortunately we see say on nkwa na aye bone. And we it will take time, but I think as a people gradually will get there. We need that reorientation. But the cap see her na sense ogum na ye half. It's about how you want to see it, whether you want to see it as half filled or half full or half empty.
Yeah.
What I say. So situations and it depends on also how you respond to that situation as a people. And our culture, oh, we have idea penny nkasa. But do you think it is also proper? Say, Akora can disrespect Penny in that manner in public. And unfortunately, even Penny for more organizers of the event, and nobody comments about it. Now, your culture now, so an aspect of our culture also indicates, say, Penny and also alternative abofra, Bible cracker, so spare the word, spoil the child. But like I indicated, I wouldn't sit here and pretend that Honorable Ken is a saint. No.
Yeah.
I mean, last time I made a statement, very bold one, that let Ken be Ken. In terms of who he is,
personality,
his
what
personality,
is
let him be. Don't rebrand anything. Me painting me into be a na or you be a president do no afa kwala abon Solomon mo na sase. One more those human manipulations in there. Obi na ebo ni tina eyi ni mu de ni bi. Eyi Okovanda poi. Ubotri. Ube di president so as be di MP as ta botri no. Oh, a preposition, Nagata Mayfi, near Kujina, only two got. That is not your work. Let's be bold about it.
Yeah, don't be hypocrite.
Don't be hypocrite.
Yeah.
If there are systems and institutions and policies and leadership in place, this is not your work. These are normal phone the betray more to create jobs. But I also admit that Ken is a human being. I will not sit here and pretend say be a bro, he's 100%. No. We all have character traits, we all have a normal Ebia obi be who say so excessive it ought to be managed. We admit that also any part, just like we all have to improve ourselves.
So man for the council hydrogen.
So you're temperamental.
That's what I'm saying. Sometimes in Sakasabina what can sometimes it brings division into the party.
And I make her say it will be very dishonest on my part to come and paint Ken as a saint.
All right.
I'm not even sure he himself will forgive me
right.
to painting him as a saint. Or any part, he has his own weaknesses and strength. But if you look at the character traits that he has demonstrated, say be who say Ken or can I join the door, it just means that we can leverage on it and construe it as somebody who is bold and can address issues as it is. Right. Of course, in terms of character traits near there, people have also argued that they see other leaders as timid. Kromha, you catch other leaders say one more will be manipulated or will be a stooge in the but that is not a fair representation of who they are. They also have other strengths. Do who cares? Oh, Ken Casado, Ken the Okanajo, Ken the temperamental. Yes, that is his character trait where we can leverage on. Right. The people of Ghana should be more interested in who can create more jobs for them, who can fix Zoom so who you're 21st century, but they drew here as of mine. What I say, the people of Ghana should. Me, when I was coming here, I asked myself, so to say the vision of Ken Krans are and I said, right now we don't even need visions again. We need leadership. Okay. Because we can have the fine visions. Me with a vision, I can just go to Google and give you the nicest vision ever.
You want to be implemented.
Yeah, but to implement. We need leadership to implement that. And so those things we see as bad traits, yes, I understand in terms of Nipebia, we need improvement, which even Ken himself admits, and also is working on himself. Because now, no, and Oshiango group was say there, most presidential material intimate mayor. But where I disagree is when people want to set a template of who a presidential material should be,
right?
Where it is only restricted to career politicians. But she suit Fakora. Yes, Manuso, Quatrase, no moody by out on side, Atumubi. Oh, bad. The problem is that we vote for you to come and address, you don't address it. So the whole point about pentimental leadership, is what I am against,
All right.
and I'm saying that let
the
Ken
person be what
be
he
who
is.
he is.
Okay.
Let's leverage on him. Obia Bako for it may be about I could recruit about 7,000 Ghanaians. Look at the side Bako to me any president, but the Oba was so Brennan Huaseno. They will say Mahama is the hope. He is the hope. All moment debate. What are you talking about?
Anyway, Obeni, your brother Yaso, minim the Obe Kanafi. If there are certain things you want to add up near here, not come one question, but I have other people waiting for me. Yeah, and so you be din komo. Minim what you would be chat to.
Me wo ba ko bi am beze me de etwato eno de eho ehia me pa na this so na me am tie me nwa pani honorable Ntim Fojo. And I think it's also a reference that the vice president, the former vice president, I think to be fair, the current vice president, Nana, former vice president, the former flag bearer, that about me also made say, religion did not affect 2024 elections. And almost central argument, he uses the test case of Asen South, where Reverend Ntim Fojo free, and compare say, onokra na or ye Muslim no, or BT. Honorable Ntim Fojo, or Christian and a Reverend minister, was sent out. But I'm of the view that is a very sweeping and simplistic
statement
analysis.
Okay,
I don't want to call it statement because statement will be quite personal.
Right.
I want to make it analysis because it could be that was a briefing that he had. I'm just maybe just 1 minute. At every point beyond the dynamics of every constituency can change. First of all, it is even wrong and misplaced to compare presidential results to that of parliamentary. If you want to have a fair assessment of your performance in terms of the presidential race, you compare to your presidential, previous presidential outcomes. Dr. Bawumia ordinarily should have compared to what President Akufo-Addo had in 2020 and 2016. What they compare to 2020, Dr. Bawumia's performance is even minus 15%. It's just quite about 15%. But the reason why any person will appear as though say, oh, OBT or a Muslim candidate, but OBT in Team for Jokra or no, a Christian candidate is this. It's something that even happened in Laura. Laura, I put a friend of Abu Samson or independent candidate. No, pro MPP or NDC, and will break it away from the NDC. Only 25.74. Anna, one more candidates and Casa Model called parliamentary, no NDC candidate, near friend of Bede Zeden. One also 34.05. Now, the question of vote to me a day, split. And Antonio Cabo did 39.64 a day. A far hose or the koi. Now, Oka, sir, NDC from you know, Mutia about independent, no. Any the Oko piece in Ankasa, Oka move vote to Ebuma, it was 59%. Just now, President Mahama then to 54%, very close, right? But subsequent year, one about 2020, Omukabo mono. One vote to know Munya no represent also what their presidential candidate also had.
All right.
Anna Emakabo day, Elusuye. So when you are having a discussions of these things, you must situate it within the proper context and look at all the dynamics that pertained within that present moment. Oko baby to say sa constituency ya yeka ho asemasen central. No, John Ntim Fojo our no represent MPP no nya 38.61%. And Stephen Kofi Bedu our no so NDC ni nya 34.61. Na mine be a friend of Joseph Kofi. Ono ye MPP ni ono break away. Ono nya 26.78%. And to him, sa woka wono mu evote nyina ebomu a more than what Dr. Bawumia enyaye. Dr. Bawumia kra de ordinary dey kra compare President Akufo-Addo need dey so te around 15%. Nti when you want to compare say oh kra we Muslim no in terms of a Christian candidate no kwa BT na, I think it is only fair to also add say one, there was an independent candidate there, and that the independent candidate is an independent candidate and no akọ primaries when MPP mu. In fact, he was actually a former chairman.
All right.
Our primaries. Ama primaries when we near only party near one more warrior and no enter day etete Emma or contest say and party niveaus here day so if you want to have a fair appreciation of what indeed the Dr. Bawumia enyaya and the MPP parliamentary enyaya, you will have to at least situate it in that proper context by adding the independent candidate in the vote, to also that of in team for Joe before you're able to compare. Now to compare, who will say one more but what the Dr. Bamiakura vote to cry compared to that of President Akufo-Addo, and cry there really about 15%. In that context should be set properly. It could be say any necessary religion they play out there. Right, it could be that there are other factors that play there, but that cannot be a case study for anybody to vindicate himself. Say, religion did not play well. That would be a very strong and wrong scenario. Yeah, you should single out for a discussion and Juma.
All right. Thank you very much, lawyer Kwesi Frimpong Kwati Kwating. Minya Frimpong no to me lawyer Kwesi Kwating. Whether was na say we'll pass it through. Thank you very much, and I hope we'll be having more engagements as and when more eba around that. But that's it. Thank you very much. Right, enti a higher democracy so yeba na fe yedi enkomotwetwe no ankasa atraso hanom edi amamu. 8.3 so any democracy jumedie no etwazale 736 ewo eye jumedie no so ene ye wonsam ahodo a yebedi eho enkomo enso ewo jumedie so Mr. Joseph Amwa a senior member at the Movement for Change. Wono as usual onya bonnet channels and dia na yase kuma wajeneja obedi akwaba na bokode
erade adum guzi pa
ede nyamiase pa sanso na mewo Dr. Isaac Tofo, member NDC Ashanti Regional Communication Team. Doc, good evening.
Good evening.
Na bokode
Nyamiadum senior.
Yede nyamiase.
Mejidis also ho ya.
Nyamiadum so.
Ya hwefo na tifo a etie nyina so mejidis obia ho ya.
Papa. Ye twen ese Alhaji Shak Chei Brobe, a strategic communicator at the New Patriotic Party. Wano ebeba na afe Professor Smart Sapon, Director Research Innovation and Development LKSTU. Ono so ebeba ene ye hwe eniema mienu titu na yedi ho enkomo enso ewa ye hwe enei the president, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, 120 days on a Ghana for eco social contract. Na the Ebano HSA one original simpie so a day na a soya and pepper 7th of May. Edit to Ghana for yina enim se contract, social contract mako edunu ensia ya on Ghana for eco no. Wabo modern ediso the only so no ugusua ohye ho niam bi wo ho ma wowie ebi wo ho ma oye bi wo so ototo niam eba na afewa beye. But with 120 days into the presidency, can we really assess the president? Say, and then 120 days you hear the wire the days, any years, any months, any weeks aka awo nanimno, he's going to deliver as expected of him. And there you can say, Ore friend say Professor Stephen Adai, or no Kanina Gimpa, or no NA penny pa or hodi atuja say ma ya mama hamatumu enyane de because Akufo-Addo ba na first time say ya I know you so no so bobo na mrania iriase na we diegu poto enti se mahama hyase a monsusu enye no yodum na munya botrem emfa emano is just 120 days. But this notwithstanding, that doesn't mean say we won't talk about what he has done. And they could be tenacity, assessing emano 74%. And this MPP need be crowd man 1.2%. So me also me yeah medium man around 68% thereabout. And then I pay many a bidding come also man around 60 to 70% thereabout. 120 days of His Excellency in office. Mr. Amwa, Mama Shase, and Frenfru.
That's pa. We just say, generally, Ubia, what no bossy, a steady or minor, baby under what, baby, I be dressed, or we can say
KOD,
a positive drift. Be a bit hard and says, a positive drift because I'm really by a na otu ma we mu na mfa na ho yire pa chese uso bibie mu na awai ye to abawie ya new government by at least omotimi ahwe ama nneɛma bi ɛkɔ so, and to me because nipa yɛ adeɛ na yɛ deɛ ɛsɛ yɛ kan because a good start is half done. So my shall see you shall see ya a chiro baby a bit more quackudru. So oh yeah inquire now we do and answer what the right ingredients kuma obvious when you inquire there. Now cofa nama pro into ya pro nyado pro and me kwa pro na say what the inquire now be inquire pro na benya. Nti we to me and we gidi say President Jomama waya ade pa na me man me de ka ba ya me man 76%.
How do you know 76?
Me 76%.
Okay.
I have a reason for saying 76%.
Reasons in the
yeah, because
it's 24% na free so no.
76 now no. Interesting. Within this na me transaction be because of the dollar exchange appreciation. I was able to save 76.
Until now, 76 now. Oh, okay.
Because there have been times here we have lost over 300% in dollar value a year. Just say, within this short period, say, Oba na otimia ama nyame afa no so ama dollar na stabilize.
And before some man fa hwa no na enyo no na ye. Na trade war na across US and other countries na afei.
And trade war ebi nka Nigeria for. Ebi nka
almost gold ni asefo no mo to the gu ho no eka ho.
Ebi nka discipline. Discipline. So we are discipline your system. It creates a lot of positive email. Eya ha na tie na omuan people akombe kan say dollar no depreciate no. Reckless borrowing. Refi. Joma baba reckless borrowing. When you reckless borrowing, discipline. There has been discipline in the economy. Fiscal. There have been fiscal discipline in the economy. Dianon kwano ama jina. And now say, so when it comes to the monetary aspect now, women driver by speculators. Speculators in the trans no driver and say, baby, I do quick. Akwe ni ma oye. And we are saying that the dollar could do yen to bingo. We be soon say, they be said that ye dollar go behind yen fanco. To speculators there, you can't take them out of the economy. They are women because women economy you do and your book you know. Speculators women they did them. We don't say maybe a dream. Come baba, we been a country of say, we not talk about body. Share yeah by you because a coffee neighbor. Who's a galebo any pa? You come, will be a condo galesi. Sahana was in it. It is the same, no? Oh, sha. It be $1 and a juice is in. Within this short period, a thing about from gold for you, Moka. Gold for you, buy. Intermediaries, ya know, Munque, boy, woman, busy no matter gold for oil and Wakonda. How mamma can say, the woman to me, maybe gold for oil and Wakonda. Intermediaries are no sika uma jinisiki sika uma dindu mawia asem ketwa what I say it is obi aba no ya de na eya mama nyina mo na baso because the bia na economy say no e de ko here covid no obi anka say na esan Nigeria for ne Togo for ho na yi na Ghana kwa na be kan na e positive na say safety no and ni say Ghana and to me I think say he's doing well. He has done well, but he has more to do. There's more room for improvement. For instance, code of conduct here, or the code of conduct, he needs to move further to make it a bail. Because Alan Chamatin, as part of a great transformational plan, enforcement of discipline, say, you need to fast-track the enactment of Public Officer Code of Conduct Bill, which prescribes standards of behavior and consequences for misconduct in respect of public offices. Now,
see the Constitution, it takes care of all these things. Do we still need specific codes?
About Constitution, we don't have a bill
Okay.
And as a law, a year back the year.
Okay.
A chess a code of conduct that they do. Until we be about no aberration, but there should be a law backing it. Legislative instrument backing one. A be man yema association. Nipa na fine yuma. Then he face the consequences. Because you know a man as a discipline system no more. Forget it. You want bet my be as a code of conduct. They break it down and say boom, we are out. Because behavioral changes. And then they determine be economy be a bit me a yam could do say nipa no behavior no and conform to the right you know at the economy can break down. In fact was there was a no say nipa no homusu banya o me say bibia and now say nipa no the suban nka onya nka obeye but it sounds like mrebia enhye no ntino obebu agusu no aye na mredi a kire di a o mebe e chale ha me fa ha say ne beba. You can't say no car no baby one day a year born. Red a year born say no entry and traffic regulations. You same for how now for policy you are you. Na bibia ni ho a. Na say what bibia dey say we could do traffic light na traffic light edum. Wa bet me you our intuition na otwem ana begina. Police in dimension. But say traffic light no ho now cross so dia any ever. There must be that kind of there must be a legislative instrument backing this code of conduct. So because Ghana would be I tell you say Ghana na kuro say what to banchi do akura show motu. When you have 2 weeks. Ebe so ebe bon.
Banchi do show motu.
Ebe fifi.
Hey, I see.
And so there come. Was every day? You suban no enya no na say bibi and we need to set up serious code of conduct. Betimia streamline bibi ama discipline system no. Yanu ku an ye adwuma tell you say yanko IMF bi. Yanu ku an ye adwuma yanko IMF.
Say ye discipline,
fiscal discipline, moral behavioral discipline. Yanu ku an yanko IMF bi. And you know near can ho asem dem. Intimate me say the mama why near bebre why ade or by first 120 days. Near why no near steps are taking and so many things. Code of conduct or their ban. A man so why yenya nombra. And may one of the legislative instruments here. It bit to me a ginaso. Now say a bass any panel. Womas womo edi womo ediclo masses no. They must declare the asset because we call public office here. You are going to public office. We are private office here. I know how to do my things. But more public here. Not that I'm several public. No. The public man know who I am before I came there.
Yeah.
Because they should know me.
Okay.
Yes, you know, I'm not a quack. No, so beko. I don't know sika egu polytank ma eating
all right, thank you very much. Dr. Tufo Honafe mema professor Asma Saponso akwa prof.
Yes sir.
Good evening. Ni nyinesi wa na boko de enso ho ye pa doc.
Senior
120 days of His Excellency in office, can we assess him thoroughly?
Oh, of course.
Sir.
And sana me baso no me ndi kanchia Krura. Adwuma pa ne no mapa o de egu akwema o ye krobia sante kotoko hene. Free kotoko wie kotoko. Edu ampofo ntwinana. Enra ne nyina na me follow mention activities no awo sa no moma. Ama me so me ama hu say me yire me ho go award a prestige award me shy say me follow nyene anti ene akama yi ha a motivate me pa say me yire me ho na Krura so timi bom abaso say Krura bom abaso dia na say me wi ano no na fe machia His Excellency John Dramani Mahama ono so stream sejata wo adwuma pa ne akoma pa wo dia ba what they boy juma na juma wo boy hu na numre ye bobo hu ye hwe no first 120 days senka obai no wanya de pa bia de me de pa he fa mo asem wo kan wo say anya hwe kra no ne de and they were saving 76,000 Ghana cedis. I know and so yeah, Abba Ghana for I mistakes say or moto abanamai. Now I heard no match Dr. Frank Abako, regional minister, so baby will be a so Michano. Name 120 days. And I'm paying for Mubu, almost say you need not to blow your own trumpet. I told the beer. And so now saying no so one more will be a moment.
So wow boy there.
I saw our boy. Old cham will be a bomber. I bet that one the trumpet not rusty. And TCC and I say, oh, but why the old no the room. Into His Excellency first 120 days here. Send a social contract here. Now can was him. See a cash social contract here. Why will be teacher. A Ben Bibi Cassibia. As ye chimama a tea for never phone in Atiasia. Simple, His Excellency by or be ye campaign. Obijina Paso Casse say Mohe Namotoma first 120 days, no the normal say nation and you saw pesa oye. In Tigana for Toman, the next say, I'm passing a jet, Nasam not to in this year the answer. Akoshe kratase eno na wo hwese obe deliver eno na enumre ye dweno nti wa wuti a o social contract na ye wani so eno ne ade a dweno na hwe eno ma odi egu akwan ma bibia a kire se His Excellency abase wo bebo Ghana na wa base wo be adwuma ye hwe ye hwe from the first appointment or yeah within 14 days no wa ye cabinet appointments ministerial ne ada CEOs ne ye ne de egu so a yeah or promises or be run a lean government. Ye will hire or men buying MPP are buying by I will say send a person or do a minor quantity 125 ministers. Would you know why we are security say we hear population now that compares our 125 now? Would you know why that name make any economic sense? But Ghana for G2. The engine and the person running in the lean government. Who run the lean government? Who fund almost say a ketwa kakra bi ne yesnes dodo wura be fa nipa ne bebre agum na say omo input and omo output no merit sa wo fa omo na mfa so be pa na ba so sisi ya from 125 ya dey aba 60 ya currently kura no His Excellency afa 56 pe o ye nyam fendru 60 mpo o he 60 na ati free 125 ni mu a Land Cruisers ahodo a ye nyam to government bungalows ahodo a yento anayensi anayen han saloon cars ahodo ene salaries akese ne allowance ade ba kwa na emwa magana yesika sem enyina so a prof wa head obi adansi aka she omu data ahodo omo ye nyina agada ne chairs how our government spend this car say government expenditure na hwese ne ye boka we senka government expenditure no kra ye de eba timemufo asitena mu director can the workers who say yes can ye di ama emfaso aba ama timemufo we de ya ho de ye pay ye cars ne fu a hodo ne normal e car ne ye de so Ghana no eno kan bi na moa me sika kwant mi nyina ye ba ye ne hu say sa de na emwa nti eno no wa ye hwe a bit say education what share boss say first year students are ekono you be form fees satma students na ekono na yenyam ready budget kra na yenyam make in budget nti omokono de omutua but it has been captured a budget ni ma obi a wotie me bia nya sa arehemu ni say wo fees na wotua na de meka say carry forward the da wanim me mfanya example satma na me wo poly ye fees ye tua ma na brosho and in parliamentary nti omo sa a review and yet so nti yet so no na ezenka outro letter na de akosenka omo refund usika ma ya refund
school days come with you me emfa
yes we wie school na wo be gina say the month see na say affectional between no entiment ya na ye ne dey nti ye de carry forward the next academic year no e buy na fees no buy na eti free mu nti e buy no bo so hwe o bill no so ahun say atie free mama de na wutua na nyesa na wutua nti President Bosch na wo share no ya capture the budget mu nko ade eso obi ehunu say it has been fulfilled yeah was say one na wadi dem and they nya Niger ne ifo ya begu kwan ho mo say sade ananka Ghana o ma ehunu so mo say sade o mo di dem ɛne ehunu sɛ wodi dem a no nkyerɛ sɛ wontimi nkɔ school nto aso anase wontimi nya nimdeɛ na sankrofo de ne betimi ayɛ abo am his excellency say yɛnhwɛ sɛ obɛkɔ school na wɔn de nyɛ ne first year fees no nko ane pim so obɛwie school ni nyina no ho ka nyina yafa saa no ma we nyina ya ade a president ba ya o ya airboy yɛnhwɛ bibi te sɛ you know get fund ne NHIS ne ya kape no yɛka sɛ ya kape na sika ɛsɛ nkɛkɔ saa fotuo nim ne yɛtimi de bɔ yɛ school no ho bra yɛtimi de sisi labs yɛtimi de sisi school adan ma school for kɔtena mu no sɛ 100 cities na ɛkɔ hɔ a MPP aban sɛ yɛmfa 30 pɛ nkɔ hɔ ne yɛmfa 70 no nkɔ yɛ ad foforɔ yɛbae ne yɛsɛ dabi 100 ne yɛsɛ yɛkɔ hɔ 100 ne nyina nkɔ hɔ ne yɛntimi nya bi mfa nsisi adan yɛntimi fa bi nsisi labs na you know na awofo no bebree mra ne yɛ campaign na bebree yɛm hyehyɛ ɔmo free SHS yɛsɛ NDC for mo ba mbetwam yɛbae yɛ kora de yɛ kora ma obi awofo nyinaa akɔma ato ɔmo yam free SHS ne dedicated source of funding say afibia sika no ha ne ene ekoyi free cocoa board a echena yakoyi free oil and gas echena yakoyi free good ye buy there your own pay get fund no sisi enya dedicated source of funding ti afibia yenim sika yenim ba bia yekɔ sika free ne dia betua amofra ne fees eno we umpe we na pede NHIS say na call hospitals insurance wundru esi eni ho ne atwara ma ese kono kwa to no abonten no isi ono se on campaign na eno so ne sika nyina ekɔ ho no isi enya bi de tuatua pharmaceutical companies ne ka ama ndru ese omo supply hospitals no oman de omo atimi a supply ya hunu se ye mabunu eni adwuma ye till first 120 days de ne betimi aye de aboa ebe a ne ye be lanche adwuma wura okruma se adwuma wura de ntina ye adwuma wura ni nyina ne se ye pese Ghana mabunu eye adwuma wura fo ye ka se yewura Kwabena Kessben wo ye adwuma wura ise adwuma ne ye ne dia saa ne ye pe Ghana mabunu se omo so ye adwuma wura no mutimi employ amanfo ene na aban de sine ni so se afibia na ese nipa over 10,000 ebe ye adwuma wura fo. And His Excellency. Now this year the first, you know, this year they say 2,000 there. Be more grant. Grant we any loan. We ye sika de so asene. Na what media adwene na nimde na wo tirimu na pese o de bab until na so be adwuma wura no. Aban ne so asene. Ni nyina ye within 120 days. Ya hu se bi mo so no de ora say ensa no dwuma. Say ye etrebo, say ade pamo, say ye mason, say ye ye mechanicals. And also a binocular lunch national apprenticeship over 500,000.
Sinina Kabuma, Oberman say.
Make a
for want of time on tea.
Make cancer bear me grading a mama max na Ghana for Betias no man who say nyekwa. And 500,000, nipa 500,000 so I am. Now me dear the Bruni Becca said the icing on the cake cry and the teacher say, and maybe you cry your dollar. And they dollar you buy them when they 15 point almost 16 cities. Offer dollar back. That's how person was some Ghana's come 16 cities. And they are yeah case number that saying 13 point something. 13.2. And then they destiny saying. So me say the normal His Excellency dear go akwemu no. Me say
you 2017 I've arrested the dollar imprisoned it giving the keys to the IGP yehunu bio
yes they all can
early days here too
the reason why in America say no me dear go akwemu no say na can Diana say a bit more sustain no the stability of the whole process no and no na ya na but ye the normal mienu and as you see ama dollar no ejina baby ejina no and normal mienu first one the physical discipline say na of amo
yes muntu contractors ka nti mo spend nti that is the issue the contractors muntu moka and most of the expenditure tamosha say mo ya you hear baby $1 no begina
na you contractors na ye tu omo kan Ghana has say ya na ya share mra say de bibia de see this in etua it is omo how na say
anyway
and no nya asem kra ye fiscal discipline say sa sika ye nya sika ye di no fumfum sa akohwie bra no ye hwe na de ba kwa Ghana for kra be hunu lean government no and no can fiscal
is
discipline.
The government actually lean
It's very lean.
Very lean.
Very lean.
Very lean.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. It is you know.
ABC disguisedly more deputy regional ministers sena mo different portfolios sena mo this because as our friends saying remuneration mo fan exactly like how lean is the lean government mo kan ho asem no.
Senior wa ye adwuma ya chei we yes will be alleged near wa wonim yemfa deputy regional ministers bia yemfa deputy wa wonim say yemfa nti dey obi alleged dey obi speculated there no yen court down ha bobo
Anyway
enko ba bia
all right
I may conclude no I may conclude no yen share the you know a fiscal discipline and no ye one say yen mass high expenses be independence day fire fast ya that ya by 20 million be near the 1 million. So discipline no ba ebema de ye nya nsisi e na beto asosa na ehwe de you know sky free gold board it mean nam gold in purchase na sell and so eba o man Ghana mu no you see I know within just in first quarter 2.7 billion it is I know to aso ba na se scan ba na se behwe ne ye ne emfa mo akohwe ne emfa ye ndi ne nyafunyafo ye emfa ma se ye de ko prefin na ye be wie na $1 million should be pass ya sa ebebo ama sa de we ehu de aba bi ba o se wa chisi di no ba o mi aka se we de key na koma IGP no ye meka bi o Ghana fo be hu se normal drop ya ma bibia ekoso.
Thank you very much Dr. Tufo Mamen Korama Alaji Ishak Chei Brobe na che right
Ewodi
good evening
Ewodi di asembe ba Papa we yanim no bi be kan podon no
Alaji na boko de
nyame no mpa boy ye na so
nyame adom yeso ho ye pa
fantastic
yo mesa ba ho mamemra prof wansa na afemria ma ba ho prof mamintiu 120 days social contract with Ghana.
Very well. Me da wase. No ma che busuafo a omutie ya hwe yen baby bia obi a tie yen hwe yen free bia yen mo bibia adwo. Me chia menuanom mpanimfo miensa e ka yen ho studio. Dr. Mewofa and Alhaji. President John Dramani Mahama, in fact in my earlier submission on Friday, me say why 60%, it's a pass.
Okay.
It's a pass. Into be hosting it beside me direct into a pass and I'm so pass there.
What pass?
What pass?
16 years in C and D.
C. Yeah, let's say C. And I'm betray mu. Na mestre say we nye sensationalism. O dey follow ana na me adwuna fa na me adwuna. I don't see why on the same platform they be so this is very academic. Why are there you have shown that you are a professor on the same platform no
obviously can I natural.
Mestre President John Dramani Mahama is very experienced in this portfolio we are discussing.
Yeah.
On your fresh president. Sebe, he knows the in out of governance. Me sure so no cry no be take some of these comments in good faith. Yeah. And I'm setting that point very clear. The second point I'm person can say your assessment 2 forms. So professor says here is either or no bisa question on the paper mama 3 hours and 4 hours 5 year bra. Comprehensive exam PhD sometimes committee member students they be 6 hours like because that one is
no
and yeah. So and no the basis for performance assessment of question I will professor I don't know what trauma student and answer any answer on yen family no effort effort answer nikita sabi na he had no idea about your question din question people be answer na nanim to share more than nipa na but he was close. Oh, I mean we onya idea no amani marks ade. Then there was second form of assessment. Stesenia ejawo openike odi wa kofa topic conduct research nefabra. Nia ejawo mo akoye wa ade by the basis of assessment results. I mean ninyina effort results bem be the bameka the underlining the watchword when you have gone to do your own study, interfere, what you are saying, have you read a lot of literature? Yes. Can you do it? When you come to me with your document, I will assess the results. And for me,
Let's lay that at the President Mahama 120 days. President Mahama or 2 level of exams are all year. So 4-year mandates no mind their man. You hear some key things I'll be to me. I hear the Abua. President Biaba and Ubit my Bia no year. So I know there 4 years. And they say why 8.2%.
Kobe
Your man 4 years it's like 1,460 something days. If you know you can 120, meaning just about 8 or 8.2% a pen wire or 92% more chance or time to work at man for NTS. But me 60% we dear year. And then you set man 4 years on a no set so may use 1.2 or 120 minutes and hours na me the ayeno e ho asem ne ye kan. Into the basis for na me ba be the results. And yet the explanation of effort. Oh, may say me bo ho komo kakra me ne nkrofobia kasa ho a parliament
talking
by
about the end product. Yeah.
The end product is, and not because effort no we put in no enye recognized.
Right.
But the basis for assessment of nia wo na wo so kwakoya dia ban me say your results. You can ask any professor who is familiar with the basis. Okay. Me check 120 nim into 3 groups. Ba ko de a very low hanging. Near ma yen sheda nhia match to have it done. 120, never back 25 no they buy no wo mu 13.
Okay, 13 out of the
25 no a low hanging for me. Leanest and most efficient government, code of conduct, national dialogue, accelerated export development council, education forum, sanitary parts, banning appointees from buying state assets. They say ma impending for to buying them rough. And seed fund also the boy ma bank no scholarship administration SSS streamlining na politician of preferred if say more privileged people be on my yes idea to a man microphone. You are all in this country. I think you are familiar with what I'm talking about. Black Star experience investigation to purge the military vigilantism from our security agencies near the and our VRA spillage compensation. Those are the 13 for me low-hanging fruits in the 25 or the buy. It be a moderate. You need a lot of kakra na ultimedia. And no munsia.
Okay.
In Siani so be pow was wafo within that given time. The entire media moderate and they say Sebi and Kofobi bring a veteran president and the there or da won o man bedos o ma o munyina so nya ho animu and so we were only maybe 60 slots to give out. They moderate and can yet because president only woman and nantia from way back 2009 2012 Akrabe president near day, but still I think it qualifies for moderate. Afi commencement and preparation for 24-hour economy no and also can be moderate in home inquiry forensic audit into bank collapse, then the born name back 17 be so say a one at the name. Now if you about job creation programs no a Jumera 1 million coders and then apprenticeship program no now about reopening of investigation into unresolved matters I was so west or gone then no ha and also be a shake up state owned enterprises. Now what realign it be no so those are the 6 margin muninsia forming under moderate no. Now if you are high near hear a lot of balls quote
how do you
to do even taxes now ye free hono
okay
ye levy covid emission and then you have can betting good. Now if you have number 2 taxes number 2 I what 25 a year no or say obey mra ebe yi taxes to be a daddy obi a wo kram fidie dia ba be adwuma ene agric kua yo ho ne ma ne mo be ye free ho afi obe implement ebi on mo ye me lunch we do so obe implement no academic fee policy na afi aba free tertiary education for one mo asabe ye nuanu ma dem de kakra wo mo ho na afi mahama care na waba emra no so bi ho no mo a emma ye mfa ka sa pempem emma so be yi sa amra na free ho emma sa ka sa netimi aba ma me no wa ebetimi atobi enya scan control room no enso enya sa de na last one ne ye ban illegal and new mining activities in forest reserves and no nsia for me high
okay
offer nsia no a anka insia no high na me kan high no me ma ba ko bi obetwa bia 8 marks.
Okay.
Na fe ban no de my 10 because for me the most topical of all the issues.
All right.
Enti sana me koye enti osisi a anka 8540 ninya be 50 marks. High no onya 16.
High no onya 16.
High side no onya 16. The reason they say taxes no
Out of the 50 no.
out of the 50
16
no onya taxes no baako bia ye 2 oyi 3 free ho aka baako covid enti onya 6/8 ni a ose ye de kra mfidie wa o kra mfidie di aba ene oba babu aku adwuma ni ade ye be yi sa taxes nyina free on ye nya nyiye ti no nya 0/8.
Okay.
Implement no academic fee policy no wa ma allocation e wo budget nim but implement enyan course.
Okay, there's a difference between allocation and implementing.
Implementation.
Okay.
Me crowd the enti ama me man all the mass say hono me man 4/8 half.
Okay.
Because of the seemingly disconnect between your minister and mpanifo e kan afa ho. Obi say be refund am obi say mumra clear for us.
Okay.
And I don't mind because of the allocation, I don't mind giving all the 8 marks, but I'm say even at the mpanifo level no omunya hu roadmap ne potia omu pese omu de fast until the 4 out of 8 half mark is fine for me as an assessor. And a free tertiary education for persons with disabilities and a Mahama Care. Mahama Care ni ya lanche. A man for start year contributions they come. Ke odi kitu ebienso me ma ese me bi busumi wu a mu nya yina but persons with disability ne die hono die em say yenya persons with disability bia in tertiary they are on that free ade nti hono so me man 4 out of 8 half na fe yaba customs for there na say salvage cars are pempem no yemfa ma sisi ade obeyi sa ade na free mo yetime dia ba no yenyin free ho for me the basis for assessing near wow so by a results.
All right.
Into Honomema no 0 out of 8. Now if ban illegal and new mining activities in forest reserve sabe. So be a common company briefing say your forest reserves and kofogumu say no omu free mua.
Also, recover about 80% of about
Or can say you recover 7 out of the 9. But the information is that Ghana, out of your 230 forest reserves, are recorded one woman. Emu maku 30 and under threat and as under siege. A man for a ballroom with reckless abandon. I mean, careless at the air no. Emu 30. These are records. So 30 no. Assuming without admitting, say, Omampeni, I mean, Minia Kofi Amabu say you retrieve 7. It still would have constituted a fail. 7 out of 30 there, a new half crown when you pass marking. And no crown. The second point I must say in I am fan as a say, Omunche and 7 retrieved ones.
And evidently clear.
What I say, na yen me, anyway, unia as I donko, Erastus. Yenina yenfa evidence and branch say. Be any forest. I can tell you, say none of the forest has actually been set free by Sagalam safely.
Omuda sugum.
Me, baby, I'm free. Baby, I'm free. Sabe, galamse. Me line so dear. Untimin can you free? Was I Menfi East Central? I Menfi West. A man see no money. Baby, yen namu we know the forest, and I am not. May say they are too dear. Na minya evidence to the effect so yes forest way obi animbio na minya evidence so obi animbio be yes sir Mr. President, don't take such briefing in its totality. See actually yeah na galamsey fighting we are not actually improving, we are not winning it. Into hono me who said there has been some attempts water guards, tree for life me wahana ebe lanche ye ni nyina ka environmental rescuing ne ho into member 2 out of 10.
Okay.
Anti hono ne ba ya wonya system. Oba category B ni nso a nia wanya shake up wonya ni nyina anti out of 24 marks wonya 20.
Okay.
Shake up in state owned enterprises ni realignment no e na man farmer no because onye.
Okay.
Sabe meti mente say ebia Metro Mass Transit any state transport corporation ya realign ya come mabom. Meanwhile these are friends, these are people we can easily put together and I'm a what?
Aye.
At the crow,
They have common way.
yeah, common. No, I shall state own BB, also no BB. In fact, that thing sounded very excellent in my ears, but sincerely, assessment and just say, oh yeah. And I'm a what? He's been meeting state own, then the advice and the question that said this one sincerely it has not been done. Into 20 out of 24, and a low hanging one, and so no. Metimi akase bi obenya 24 out of 26.
Okay.
Ni amin sheden hu se waye scholarship administration. Home restructuring then eno nyanko so. Se bibi koso in the room, boardroom conversations koso a. Me see the basis of assessment of ni awuka ase obeye. Enye the efforts you are putting in.
All right.
Enye the results.
All right.
Yen set is a question man de anka enye man 4 years. And then ka wo ye hu bibi anka after all we have more time to give. But within only 120 days in there, these things has not been done. But at least lean government there. Who say the government is lean. As for efficiency, how the problem no because cost efficiency it appears say ye bo we mo ho bra with sika eso. Esene emra na number ne so no. Sika ni ye bo omo ho bra. That one, we need further interrogation of the figures. But Anya Hekrano, we can attest to the leanest government that we have so far. Okay, can you know more? Margin mono, obenya 60% out of 100%. But Mumi and so say, this is only the 120-day contractor on the sign.
All right.
As for the 4-year, 1,460-day contractor on the 4 years in the year. If you watch 8% into no kakra but ye nyina na ese yeboa ye koye ne siko fancy chairman why ye why ye no bootlicking ne den ni ade a and how the reality will dawn on us until let's face the fact ni enche say shake up ni alignment aso be unyanye yo ye kai wo illegal mine then nyanko so ye kai wo ye kai ni say ya but mame fa manunsi na menka say sa no economic dialogue no bi enye no nko a na ama yehu ni ayehu but eno so ka ho at least some of the recommendations I'm sure say mpanimfo fa de adwuma e ho sunsuanso bi et said ni ayehu one thing na me de me hwe say minister say adwuma president mama ban mu betimi aye de aboa ne say they are young sebe omutie mpanimfo tie futuo na omanyem ho tintintin yese edua no se so a otene na eyeye se enyine ana ebia otene na enyeye sa brede omutie future recommendations bi so mu de adwuma Bank of Ghana say go for oil laboa we say ni nyina kabo mu a ultimately Ghana will be the winner. All right. Na yen kanche gutafo nso say they give all the reasons in the world not to reduce prices when the dollar comes down.
But when it rises prices
ni ade ucha atachema tutu na nyi nambia you are only happy because usisi wa unia enko baby.
Thank you very much.
Because I reflected
the
prices of ade.
That's it. Alaji
Keodi
Alaji so di assembly ba
Keodi di assembly ba
Alaji mamitiwe 120 days of His Excellency
Keodi me da say emfa kwan so nchia abusa fam na omo hia ha ne wo emfa ni die matiefo ene ahwefo na enkom impesu aso sita kwa ma be poso chama de hie nyina adwumre Keodi na omampani John Dramani Mahama or say 120 days no at the end of the day
or say he has overperformed
media 120 days no dear Matia ne say e dum
so kranka ho
on se ma hu some chasakore me sakore me chas ya na dum
I see. It's not also the blade to home.
Just a pair kwan fufuro bi. Enya sa just meditifanto. Woni tifanto.
Habu.
Ene bepia. The 120 days and it's all been dum. The power minister, energy minister, it looks as if and you are no opposition or Casado. And then he came to argue, say, oh, a sika MPP niska.
Then when he came in, he was, oh, by even February this year, na your gross international reserve na hitting $9.3 billion. What does he? It's a technical issue. And he needs to get down and do the job. Because 120 days, it's all been doom, and doom. Okay? Again, teacher lunch and share exams. Also, also be term. So, terms here, thing. What are the teacher for? Say, I mean, okay, say within 120 days, now teacher for them will say, nay, nada, or the home vote. What is here? I've a double track system. Double track. I have argued and counter argued on double track. And I have said, oh, you buy a double track, you chum. I've heard you. What was a double track in just 2027? 2027, no crana, menotia, menu, kase. Mimi School, which I have a privilege to be acting as the board chairman. No. And yes, I say, Muma yeti nipa no swine up to 2027. Otherwise, it's not practicable. It's an institution which virtually has become number one destination for Muslim students, especially. And they keep coming. You're John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency, very familiar because in the past, Nana, Oba first, the kind na any power no cry namon and Sanumon Beskumon and Yasanketwa. Infrastructure, we are challenged. About 7,200 students. Can you bring them onto the same campus, same time? Impracticable. So, and Kwabena Owusu Dankwa, yana acquired to say, when we are politicians, they are not in touch with the issues, on the ground. 120 days. Has been a review of cocoa prices. Our neighboring country, La Côte d'Ivoire, smuggling is a big issue. And you know, even when I was a young gentleman, I was senior high school. We call me Papa Hafwa. No free baby at all. Tall ISO is a group of young, able, men. Among who are there, Ombetimia Suako no be across the border, no, Aquacoton La Côte d'Ivoire. 6,000 to 7,000. And on promises on the cocoa farmers. Eddie Nasie. I've heard here almost you na a cabida hall, they were not privy to a counter and all of that. What has happened to the cost of living? Ball of Kenke, is it the same as Adudangwa Kufuor? The answer is no. Cement prices, are they the same as under Adudangwa Kufuor? The answer is no. What do you say? And so, if you come here and tickle yourself and laugh, that you're 120 days, why are you? Ogredin is over.
One grading.
And yeah, fine pass one grading. Because within 120 days, it's unthinkable issues that has happened to this country.
Examples?
Over 1,300 containers, ECG containers. Why a port? Port your security no tatas one best 9. Container ba current to be through abra obia anymore. Containers over 1,300 now. Energy minister, I can say, whole resource, anything. When anyone a cock fire, Yachiwa Manasi and Chiwamo. Na Yamoma fed Yanasi and Momon Fanny. And who soon sans one, any dear him, but you know, that's a catch rain. Me be one back or some that. Say electricity company of Ghana, and it has got a link with the Doomsop. Transformers, any cables, any Sanya Maniamano. Over 1,300 containers gone missing. Our airport within the 120 days. What is he talking about? Within the 120 days, one watch container Mako 12. Fake currency. Sika yecha enye papa. Including what Fred is saying, gold. And yet, 120 days. And as a man for be grand a bomb no finance mo party. Is that the way I'm be faso am be ti wo mo mati wo sika de kana? 12 containers, fake currencies, fake gold. And within 120 days, no, media me hunu. Ado Dankwa Akufo-Addo, enfie nwɔtwe Manchester asem we bi da. Containers ayira wo port ECG. Enfie nwɔtwe Manchester asem we bi da. 120 days. Within 120 days, no, ya chi cocaine wa Takrade, ya chi cocaine e wo Cape Coast. Ya suspect say aeroplane ababa be di well offend say kotoka your friend say airport. The 5 days ago, you put someone boy. Government spokesperson make us someone no customer then so. Within 120 days, no, that's what we have seen. Okay? Now, I say, Mitia, I'm say Women's Bank. Women's Bank, and I was happy that you were actually also interrogating, certain aspect of Women's Bank, offering saying manifesto, promising. Kewadi, they promised a bank. One promised credit union, and now savings and loans, and now microfinance. What is here? A bank. Okay? And Women's Bank is technically Women's Development Bank. Now, when capital requirement for Development Bank. Development Bank Class 1, 800 million. Development Bank Class 2, 600 million. Development Bank Class 3, 300 million. Development Bank Class 4A, 1.2 billion. Class B, 800 million. And then you allocate 51 million to Development Bank. How can I say it's a seed money? Seed money, tell us the additional funding where that one is also going to come from. What is here? And it's about time one presidents ne omo pakunyana and somewhere one ekano. It's about time one you be making sure say you be measure one against one Nkasa West. KOD, watch it. They talk about say e-levy you buy a year free betting tax year free emission levy year free. The only buy the omanka. Because we e-levy, betting tax, emission levy, growth and sustainability levy, we're increasing it by 2%. What you say? Then there is a sunset clause. Growth and sustainability levy now. Nanka afiwe 2025 inka if ho. One maso ediko 2028. 3 years more. Anom di account. Afi one more introduce VAT on non-life insurance. Only motor insurance and a free more. And then again, the introduction of road tolls. And the way you mean, sir, what did nine? And I said, no, technically, and now they abba. And then I know the say, oh, can, emfa, just mean 120 days, Adiabia, Akoswa, one say, yes, say, you can't want some. Look, me had a students loan trust fund. Because me nkwara ne bi bebusa me say you see level 100 fees ye dey be ma omo na omo registration e student loan trust fund. So I decided to go to the student loan trust fund because me almost opposite e Kumasi Technical University. E kwa ya no say hey utipupu abobidi wobidi
Emma.
Oh, one more idea no abba of friends saying no academic fees. Professor I say more academic fees saying just around 300 or 300 plus Ghana cedis. And we said say a seminar homo can academic fees no more can and now say first year fees. Because say a first year fees Mr. Amwa shane ba law school or 10,000 Ghana cedis a year.
Some more specific. I'm gonna say a friend's academic user fee.
There be.
Oman can say.
There be almost the whole first year fees.
Well, what I read today, almost say academic user fee.
Yeah, say academic user fees.
Okay.
Because virtually that cuts across every discipline. Say that I have my platform be praise so I mean one share just a first year fees, the whole of the first year fees. Then I ask the question, where is the money going to come from? How well the money buy-in of the vice chancellors to be able to implement that? How long does it have to take? And sana says he can vice chancellors admissions in advance. Those critical questions were not forthcoming.
All right.
The answers to those critical questions were not forthcoming.
2 more passenger, say.
Oh, negative 3. Negative 3. Straight negative 3.
Anything positive from the 120?
Straight negative 3.
Even the sustainability of the dollar.
Oh,
I say dollar net
as main topic. The appreciation of the Ghana city. Let me first of all tell everybody here that the figures that people are quoting here are not true.
And you're not correct.
Say quote to forex sikana. You were interbank and you were forex bureau. As a matter of fact, interbank MPPA free so no na 14.6 or 14.7 interbank. Let everybody check. You understand? Say interbank no and 13.7. Oh, I am not disclosing that fact. But what is what is happening right now is that so almost call to 13.5 no for almost interbank na. Almost call to Forest Bureau, you know. You know 15.5 no. You know, almost say 16. That's what they are doing. Very disingenuous. Very, very, very disingenuous. Meanwhile, Forest Bureau, when the catcher say who call Forest Bureau say wo dollar, ubenyano 13.7. 15.8. 15.8. Much higher than MPP 15.5. And so they quote the friend is saying interbank rate for NDC, and then they go and quote the Forest Bureau rate for the MPP. You can do that when you are not dealing with some of us. But when you are dealing with some of us, we will tell you that you are lying. It is not true. And as a matter of fact, if you look at the Forest Bureau, our time is better.
Okay.
If you look at the Interbank, their time is better.
Okay.
These are the facts.
All right.
What do you say?
One crucial topic I'm busy.
Then my friend talks about the lean government. Lean government, really? How lean is the lean?
As lean could be.
How lean is the lean? Senior presidential advisors, presidential staffers, presidential aide, presidential communication consultants, presidential communicators. Okening na bomwa. Yewra John Dramani Mahama. Sika wo be dino wo presidency. Eye afia wono wa ba betena so yi. Sika obedie e wo presidency. Afia ya betena so yi. Eye 11.3 billion Ghana cedis. And I want to repeat that. 11.3 billion and ye be dino presidency per the budget. Ado Dankwa Akufo-Addo bloated government. Was he 120 you 225, right? And then later, second term, the on can. Second term, no, said the year John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency, and Nipa or do year Juma or no 2012, and that's a 2013 to 2017. No, it's the same number and another Dankwa year at the second term. But he goes and quotes the first term. So be it. But end of 2024. Ado Dankwa Akufo-Addo sika within wa presidency na 8.5 billion. The bloated Akufo-Addo government at the presidency spending 8.5 billion. The lean John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency's government, 11.3 billion Ghana cedis. What are we talking about? Look, even compensation alone, 2.7 billion. Under Yera John Dramani Mahama, Ado Dankwa Akufo-Addo bloated government, no, 327 million Ghana cedis. And so, for me, quite clearly, and not rhetoric. They are facts.
All right.
When the next one, I will deal with the exchange rate.
All right.
If you give me opportunity.
Thank you very much,
because
Alaji.
there are a lot of external global effect and affecting.
Thank
the
you.
internal one, no.
Maybe
approach now one use
for
also not
specifics.
sustainable.
Obi
So
abe picking the specifics na fe yahwe. My yahwe Solomon Jagri Okunsu Security. Good evening. I want to thank His Excellency John Dramani Mahama for releasing the MMDC's appointment. We, the good people of our North Southwest, are much appreciative to him for giving us Honorable Abu Siddiq. 120 days of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is excellent. No more blame game, loot and share. The MPP guy in your studio should also tell us their 120 days in opposition. It's not insult. Who born dog and here for anyway. Never again. MPP. All right. Solomon Jagri at the end. In fact, I'm tired to Google some of the names of the universities in Ghana, and I cannot even mention some names. Who gave them these names? Do these universities belong to the MPP party? Please, President Mahama, kindly change the names immediately for us. Sir Kabis, near the Biasi Zungu. And Oduwe Abraham. So no matter what efforts Ken's people put up, Ken can never be our flag bearer, as his intentional campaign against the MPP was Glenn and Glare. No discerning member of the MPP will bring him as our flag bearer. What he did is too fresh in our heads. Andrew Boating Penteng near Kodie. I say, okay, Andrew Boating at the end. I don't know. We see Oibo Boating ewo nerebehi on also be a brain or say 120 days of President Mahama is full of hardship, continuous doom, so high cost of goods and services. Their self-acclaimed performance does not reflect the reality. There is absolutely no correlations between their celebrated economic indicators and the realities on the ground. Cement is now sold at 120 as was sold at 85 cedis under President Akufo-Addo. A small bottle of water is now sold for 3 cedis as it was sold for 2 cedis. 2 pieces of tomatoes is now 20 cedis as it was sold for 5 cedis. Things are rather getting worse. We need answers to that. Oyibo Boating and so dear and we Esima Sawudu Kumasi Bantama was say we told Ghanaians that NDC and President Mahama have nothing better to offer this country, but Ghanaians didn't listen. Upon all their propaganda concerning 120 days in office, KK prices are still expensive. The propaganda that brought NDC to power will surely send them back to opposition. All right. And also, at the dollar has gone down. Fuel prices have gone down. Cement prices have gone up. So I was unable to buy the same number of bags I bought in December 2024. The president set questions for himself and wrote and marked and couldn't have 100% instead of a 72. I'll give him 27. Anyway, and also at the teacher Kujo Wenyina Susu. I say, the only thing President Mahama has done in the 120 days in office is buy sanitary pads for schoolgirls, which is a discriminatory policy. If the past government was using taxpayers' money to educate Ghanaian school children and Mahama then in the position saw that as a waste of money, what about buying sanitary pads? Is that saving or profitable for the taxpayer? And also, dear or they are bringing, I don't know. We SC teacher Eric, aka Obiara Hiesika Manso Watreso, was the boy who killed his girlfriend. The family of the deceased should revenge. Oh, hello, good evening, KOD. Watching you live from Senegal, Kasamas Elikain. My name is John Ato Asan. MPP, when it's come to propaganda and hypocrisy, they are the best. And tell Prof that he should give us clear analysis. That's what my analysis. Anyway, security. So good evening, and I'm on Odinaho Trimudehinin and Abuaje listening from Asante Achimhudiem. But I want to know if it is sensible to waste that money on sanitary pads while these people were saying they can pay for their children's secondary school education. There is no need to mark anything, so let us be serious citizens. Thanks. Okay. And also, John Mensah organized MPP Cote d'Ivoire branch. Mr. President Mahama and NDC Dumso is coming back again. So for 2025 Ghanaians, so to see NDC government Dumso. All right. And also, and Kyodi, ask Sheikh for me, which party named Dum CC Yakini from Asarianso ti we alaji dia. Good evening, Kyo. The President Mahama, President Mahama has shown strong commitment to building the Ghana we all want together. Not everyone, that's the Ishak Chebrobe in the system, will see and commend him for the good work start. They have programmed their minds to see only gloom, bleak, and doom. Nonetheless, President Mahama and his team will remain focused on delivering on their mandate. Citizen K. Imam Ewo Wenchi and Odiwe Abraham. Good evening, KOD. Please, when did President Mahama budget take effect for you to talk about appreciation of Ghana cities, or you also enjoying the 78 million communication? Mike Afrade, Ewo Kumase and Odiwe Abba. We essay Baroski, Ewo Sisiwa. Say members of the MPP media patriot. I'll rate President Mahama's 120 days in office 2/10 because promised to stop Galamsey, but now Galamsey is out of hand. Doomso has been increased since or has escalated since he assumed office. Okay, and also the Rizali, 40 minutes past 8. Mamin Sang Emre. Na afe yenhwe specifics. Obia Canadian, na kampese mo bia bi, but Obia Canadian, minim where exactly, doctor, Obefa Efri, within bare 5 minutes, Yenesamami.
Okay, Masha Sefri, Doomson, no one, Sanya, Yaba Bemono, the way and issue in Annecy, I didn't know a big Quema, no Mabekoye, Senya Gan and Yuma Becoso, Yada sitting in Musubekoye, and Yama Hodink, and Wasamno, and call Senya Peno. Aha, mint me jina hala me mekase o bibia da na kwem. Enko se na
e problem na de here nkasa.
Sisi de be ye beto ye no eka na ye beto ye.
Kan na ma enyina so no.
Aha kan na ma enyina so nti eguso a ye normal kakra kakra ye beto 1.7 billion a o muja to honum. Ti no na eguso a ye. Na o ka se eduma enso. Enya fe ne ebe ko competition mu de mudumi ama menhia fridge nyina sey na nsi da Ghana ha nsi da se fikasiem fridge nyina timi sey mudum na je sey ya egu ase no kra e de ase ama duru soro ho ama ohene kase de nyina sey nti enye light ho asem kra de mengi ni se ni kwase nko boso na fe no o ka ya chi cocaine ya chi we wa me hu MPP ni a o keka sa asemu ya na emwa
Aden
se wotia ban mu 8 years ya anche obi buy within 4 months ya echi e de na ese ka kire o ba dwemba obi a wotie ye bia no e de na ese ka kire o e ka jo se obi betena se ondo ye hwe han e ma sa enu bone hu dwa no e koso ye na buy ya ye echichi anything na fe na Ghana for hu se 2022 Deputy British High Commissioner here celebrating International Day for illicit drugs in there, you know. Or can I say Ghana has become a safe haven? Near him say, San or kind of keke. But I say, and Chintini and him say, San Ecoso. And so I buy within 4 months. And no no Bobby soon, Yachiwe or higher Chiwa. As a salmon quotiana or boyance or bonus and this about
your chin is Akosi, that's the question. They say they match you, but Akosi saying.
And Chikra or my chi or more could recently crowd. They were sent to court a remand or money. And the Ochena that the Akane day. The process.
All right.
And yes, a chi or mono or monenamo. Some saying MPP will be become some required lesson come boy abaso. Say buy no boni hu dwa no mo na edi na kese na nyo mo MP na ye chi no ye chi so wodi no boni hu dwa me in Kranza North Erica Martin ni NTB o Ghana bakosemu da eso no nko party a MV Benjamin for 4 time cocaine da na in powder Ghana ha na eti o MPP time Omon o ye kan nuboni hu dwa na yikra me na me kan Ghana ni bi otie bia some reason ka bo nsem e de ma his excellency because
the cracker no
obesi no say ye buy and ye na ye ko abai na now we say about lean the ama obi obey frank with the appropriation bill okay the 2025 and 2024 uhema the ama if you are being frank na wa shaden no aka no kra Ubehunu say NDC government is truly running a lean government.
Okay.
Ubehunu say we total no and I'm 2.2 2.9 na NDC deɛ nam we total NDC deɛ nam 2.9 na we nam 2.1 nti we I say we mu kra mo sa mo se mo running link government mo bill no osoro deɛ ntia bill no osoro ne say information ministry ya collapse no ya gu no there are government agencies bi wɔ hɔ Ghana News Agency GBC omo staff no na hefa no mo information the department omo nyina government has absorbed them omo do akɔ the presidency in this omo no capture omo no omo monthly allowance no omo pay ni nyina ebe go into ebe ma bill na yede akosoro ho
right totality comparatively totality we hear the two totals now
oh henesa obeka on the face and see yi sankofo ya make nyina afrim se nkomo come back to omo ministry ho e ka bo se bill no be conform sa na national security se na a home ministry on its own omo se dissolve omo no sa omo staff no omo departments no omo ko hen omo nyina have been ya absorb omo under the office of the president it is ohunu sa bill na omo pay enya something new
all right
and see I can't lean government in India. I say I say Ghana for you say what we promise, that is what we are delivering.
Thank you very much. Ms. Amwa.
Yeah.
Specifically Ebia one area over picky.
Matisse omoka cement price. But the mean when say cement the categories, you're 42.5 and you're 32.5. 32.5 no ebony lower than 42.5 nti omu kutu ya said na allergy sa pepepe the
omu kutu we mama we no makutu we politics no
na cement no even though price now abasro but we should not lose sight of the fact to say cement components and clinker no form 80% of the cement which is imported. It is important at the end balance dollar no could do baby you could do your nasa or the area.
And we are business people.
Yes.
We have people who are innovative.
Yes.
Among for kase, if so sen kebe import clinker no. There are other materials one man kebe me use instead of the clinker. But why then do we still go and see a pesi boka near kofasa clinker na side ba?
Aha any material a bit more substitute clinker. Your other materials here, they add up to the clinker, but not the clinker. For instance, limestone, shale, and other things. With that, what about a frame to boost it up? But if you have quality cement here, you need a clinker. Now, chromazine, limestone deposit you have, do no magnesium content very high. Until would form what the person would clinker no. A shibe brain, the young and our boka. Oh, you know, ye back. And now, deposits no. Maybe a deposit you are a sunka cry with me. If you want to establish a clinker factory, you need millions of dollars. And when you say the grand year, the only year is a grand no way. As also, ye cement power a year. Maybe the high quality with me use clinker and they were in the you know. The aka wo baby ni nyina no baby ho a obenya magnesium content no minimum kakra but baby anka obenya bebrezu magnesium content is high and until na issue about clinker no mbem nti ase ni nyina na di boost clinker no deposit and na odi anya cement no it yes e hwe sa na me ni nyina yi but probably there may be other
sources and materials
research
okay.
Everything I go further to make sure it's been my clinker. But as of now, that's how it is.
All right.
Until you know, they are conversation also. Until you could try and very careful. Now, if you say dollar could do baby and pan crowd and buy and you say, ubeti matis there and then. But as time goes on, now season now stabilizing. Stability is more important. Say dollar team stabilize. You could stabilize by 5 cedis to $1, and I say 8 cedis to $1.
And it is a Alan Bow. Oh, now what to be stabilizing 5 cedis to $1.
So there are certain things here because you see, I never be a boa ama dollar no. You see the now holding air cost against the dollar. It is a sustain as a discipline, fiscal discipline. You know more important you.
All right.
Now, reckless borrowing is animal be free from there, and they will create the problem. You know, but you say, now say dollar stabilize here. We have triplets. Once the dollar stabilizes, interest rate will come down. Exchange, and then inflation
will come down.
Now, sometimes, inflation, inflation, I say, Nema Boyding. Now, say, Nema Boyf. Inflation, a frequency of friends, increment. And the DNC said, they see 2 near minimum, and they work inflation. The never be an abuni general.
Thank you very much. Aladi.
Kodi.
The next 5 minutes, my baby, also befa.
It's on the event, sir. Cody, the fact is, enye enokre say na afeni ye chichi omum ye cocaine. As a matter of fact, opa check Dankwa Akufo-Addo by na European Union, near blacklisted Ghana, money laundering, cocaine transit point, and all of that. When him say from 2017. Yeah, Juma san regulatory framework diniema tutu akwamsan. When him say KOD 7th July 2022 and European Union a Ghana every woman blacklisting. So it is a testament, a clear testament, evidence. Say a fedie na international community who say there is sanity. If we are seeing the arrest of cocaine, as a matter of fact, it is also a testament. Say, a paper and ye yen kasiye. Yam, yen containers him, yen aeroplane. What you say? And yen ketwemo $350 million, $150 million. Na afe aeroplane beto na dumso aba Kotoka International Airport. These are the issues that we are talking about. Okay. Now the issue of dumso. My friend said that Omba na ekano 1.7 billion. As a matter of fact, we met over $2 billion. The energy sector debt. And the first Eurobond, was to come and deal with a interest rate so that we obtain a cheaper debt to clear all those things. And when the man you come here says then on the issue of the exchange rate, but one point is that there's global luck. Trump policy on tariffs. 2, yes, he said the gold prices, is the air cost. And do you know that some of the BRICS countries, Asian countries, specifically Japan, one more dollar reserve, one more transfer from dollar reserve into gold reserve. That is what is happening right now because price of gold continue to go up. I say, who can say MPP for the external debt reliefs? In interest payments, dollar interest payments and idea, ACOFOM. As I speak to you, because of those debt sustainability arrangement under the IMF, so see, look at the 490 million, is a dollar injection into our economy. And then BRICS countries, our friends say Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Say Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, United Arab Emirates, and so are joining. These are the external drivers. Emma Sidino, Yehuno said is domestic. No. Say ye. And one more ton gold to the tune of $2.7 billion. Okay? And you bet me the egum. But is it sustainable? Abra Japan dear or converting it no dollar reserve into gold reserve. And you know what? Atimia ton gold bears about 20 tons. The only kind gold reserve is just about 1 ton. That's not the path to go. Say one more person ye more conveniencing ye say ye person ye temu ye exchange rate na ye sa gold na or more ton kind of investment ye di ye margin say benye free hona aye. Say me who say factory bi akoso ye di produce sanitary pad e wo man Ghana so that ye import okay 300 million or more every year for our students. Then I am comfortable say we are investing into the future of friends say Oman exchange rate. Say rice imports. Adudankwa Akufo-Addo ate so from over 800,000 metric tons to about 400 plus thousand metric tons. What are you doing? Investments better than alcohol to the extent that yen and so no na yen importo of friends say rice BM, because the more we are going to import, the more we will demand those dollars. So we want to see much more of a permanent approach to dealing with the exchange rate instead of what they are selling to.
Okay.
Look,
Finally,
Adudankwa Akufo-Addo Pensu will introduce what is called Forex Digital Trading Platform. And it is going on right now. Adudankwa Akufo-Addo Pensu introduce the gold reserve. As at February this year, now 9.3 billion international of friends, the gross international reserves. Say me bomodian pay we say the go na IMF target ni say and kebe drew some pempens away next year. Near achieving February this year. You know about okotimi cotton gold, utimi di begum, Emma exchange rate, utimi di control. But we are saying that path is not sustainable, and therefore one more air ton gold ninya home fason. Ye who said they are strategic industries, import substitution. Ye who says sania man yen crebium toothpick and no money sania man. That is where I will begin to have some reasonable assurance that you are trying to tame the depreciation of the city.
thank you very mumuch, Prof.
Yes, sir.
My name baby also be for
Oh, say Akoba idea say yes, can no bia na. Ya can the China
next way ya can want some.
Na offer can cement prices no. Now further explanation as to the difference in
Clinker the grade na okay.
2.5 be 42.5. In fact, semaphore 52.5 near the highest so far in the system 52.5. There was ropa ni nyina here clinker na ide no. Enti generally mummy enye ntum say cement prices ne koso.
Generally koso.
Aha. Both 32 odian to 42 to 52 ni nyina koso. I think say
na say dollar ya ba for me there say was nke no so ba form kakra.
So no a hon America no na we of a person say the effect is as a result of dollar rate and a was through 2024 was December now somewhere there. That one, and for me that's what I want to correct. The year no has been open. In fact, the first price review was in February 6th or February 9th for cement. And it's as recent as 120
days. Okay.
The Americans say, let us not begin to give reasons for some of these things that are near country by Elizabeth Jarese. Ne sector no. Because a new president. Ne sector no. And near maybe because of our sector. And my prices are starting air cost for the cement sector. And Tishaho. And now BB. Abroche say inflation bar. Wow, area contributed highest to inflation. You are summoned.
Obe answer questions.
Ghana ha food inflation they be adeko and kamini ekopoku nka de bi ankoti yisu question. Once in a British for you prime minister. Hot questions when when kana man for nation. I think that we should begin to accept 8% 120 days core, but wow sector and some more cost no begin to rise up. President Bamba one person is back for on Sansunya Menikata waponi to mini video mamu o sector hot challenge be started unity cement is kakura wunya bimpo no ato kiwa egu factories and I should know what I'm talking about. Kiwa egu ono no enye eyikitwa nti e be say Madam Elizabeth Jare Techimai North MP I was a minister in charge wadaruma monhwe na monhwe ho emaye hoarding of dollar idea afie 2025 Ghana sabe mumiye ni nte kakra mumiye nsesan yesuban kakra me ka say mre bi atwam na me ka say yan ka say yetimi create shortage in the system enrechi na unia General Secretary Deputy Mustafa Bande no ni sami bi interview e wo mo sister station ba ko so hello e wo adi no ka say dollar na ba form you know can on a lighter note nti amane dollars a odi sie ye no se sie a elusive value nim say be sa kra to force be sa magic kra nko se san ntem na ko o benefit e amasika na ono chale me test had no interview from him na am say there be just say when you say free one no o dey grow we are serious so yeah what it means is that you guys were holding the money and enye Mustafa Sam na make a man for $1 show mo dem Ghana a sovereign state you say be this guy your friend Ghana cedi who give $dollars show dem what they dey
we already aton education and so tie no
oh yes no just say keeping it first of all
it's not right yeah
Ghana for mama at least and sorry kakra
all right
na de bia na ye de na esidi no from one na eko because you are keeping obi man so si cash away you say wo dey force wo si di ni na so far na waton anya more nti yan fia say ni ensesa na menu a isha keka import substitution say or mining so no we should begin to take some things very very serious
all right
ma adwene mu something million na ekwa crash sanitary parts ebetimi start sanitary parts production and we factory no kra ye nyina ebo so chale adwene pa moma ye bia sika bi ko ba bia fa so bi nso ye nche no fanko ho ne ye fanko ye enye de bia na ye di obi man so fo nya adwuma no
na ye production all right
say because of Ghana order na ye de mine into no wa fa ne krom fo bia 100 more workers you get it he must meet the supply demand na order na abano wa fa nkrofo bibre say omu meje chale Ghana fo abawo omu de 200 something million abawo omu so mu sanitary pass nti more workers mebu no mumra na yenye ne from Ghana for import substitution you should begin to think about it and na afi Bank of Ghana boss esiama ni mpanifo a mohwe monetary system ni so no yesere mumma ye nimie kakra Ghana ye dollar na ye sink ese egu Bank of Ghana ne banks ni mu no senior egu
black market abochi fee
egu abochi ho me say me somewhere last year na me pesika e wo bank there to kwan in fact me I will only get dollar when I'm about to travel me in fact US dollar me say me call ye me nya bi bank honom an arrangement was made
for abochi to bring some
brought me the nyame nkwa na makasa say me just e cost we are we going to ever get to a place Dr. Siama enemy to forcing can you assure us can you take some steps to help us ye nyina kra mfiri okra ye nte so kakra na sesa na ma we da so ho na ye pa brochire gari onim se nkrofo kra gari fra brochire ba se bi obi asala ye pesika dia koto essentials medical essentials nema no bi so gina ho pesika dia kokra gari you know what I mean?
This is the Ghana we have.
Mesre Ghana for ye nyina ye fa ho nyim.
All right.
Na nyesa sustainability of sa gains ya ye nyen. Say na o ka say ye ho bi pen no. Me for one so I don't wish it ever happens, but it must start with yenya.
All right.
The way we change our art.
Thank you very much, Mr. Joseph Amwa, a senior member Movement for Change. Thank you very much. Professor Smart Sapon, a Director Research, Innovation and Development, KSTU. Medase Alaji Ishak Che Brube, Strategic Communicator, MPP for Democracy. Hey, and also come. Thank you very much. So, Dr. Isaac Tufo, member of the NDC Ashanti Regional Communication Team. Very much say. On this note, we bring the curtains down on today's program. Yami Aduma. Now what you saying? You be saying Asia. Na dia Jerusalem no. O fili wo. Be brama ododo.
In heaven there is no
Thank you very much. We did the Kwabena Owusu Dankwa. Malam Yaya ase on the stage medie no. Sanso and